Hey, Blue Rockers, welcome to Blue Rock Talk with Connie Willis. I'm Connie Willis. Tonight, I'm actually Crypto Connie because it's Tuesday. Yay! See, I need those sound effects like I used to have. They're kind of like those Muppet sound effects. Those are great. And I need two old men cackling up in the old balcony for me. Those are the best. That will be one day. That will happen. I will definitely do that. So anyway, welcome to Blue Rock Talk with Connie Willis. Blue Rock Talk is Earth's most interesting conversations. That includes people, places, and things. And if you are new here, I hope that you will subscribe. I also hope that if you like the show, that you will remember to hit that like button. When you subscribe, you are an official Blue Rocker, and that is someone in the know. We do a lot of really cool things here on Blue Rock Talk. We have something coming up in the future. Now, we have Crypto Connie Tuesday. That, of course, is tonight, and that is all about cryptocurrencies. We talk to some really cool people, and you can learn a lot. Try to put that in the perspective of layman's terms for people like me. So when I think the conversation's going over my head, I know it's probably going over a lot of other people's heads. Not everybody's, but we are, trying to help put everything to where we can understand it. That's part of the reason for Crypto Connie Tuesday. Now, coming up soon, I'm not sure when, I have people in line and people excited about my Wasted Wednesdays coming up in the future. That is a serious look at the cannabis industry. And I'm really excited about that too, because I have some very, very special people that are going to be on that show. And I'm surprised at some of the things that I've learned about it. Just in the short time, just mentioning it. And then, of course, we have Far Out Thursday, and that is our signature night, Blue Rock Talk. That's where we do anything from the aliens and the bees, making honey to any interesting conversation. We also have Bigfoot Friday. That speaks for itself. All these shows are on at 10 p.m. Eastern. By the way, I'm wondering what you guys might think if we go to 9 p.m. Eastern or 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Eastern. Or 11 p.m. Eastern. Let me know. Let me know in the comments below or the live chat, and I'll look into that. And the reason I say that is because we also have Stan's Bible Lecture on Sunday, and that's normally at 1 p.m. Eastern. We are changing that to 2 p.m. Eastern. And a lot of people are liking that idea, especially Stan's wife. I don't blame her. She just wants to get lunch after church. I don't blame her. That was like one of the best things. After church, she'd go and at least we'd go get some fried chicken or something, or it would be a spaghetti dinner that day or something like that. So totally understand that. Once again, please subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that like button too. And those of you that want to give, thank you. I love when you want to donate to Blue Rock Talk. My Patreon account, I kind of turned it off because I'm already doing a lot of work. So now you want me to do more flips and run through hoops? So I kind of turned that off. YouTube does have a way for you to do it, but I prefer you just do it in crypto. Isn't that why we're here? So all the special crypto that I like is down below, especially bitshares. So let me take a look over here. Earlier is better. All right. So obviously you guys are hearing me. Hot dog, we're doing good. I wanted to say something. One of our Blue Rockers that I met at the Blue Rocker Bash, that was the first annual bash ever at Alyssa's house. Two people that I met there that I already thought were married were not married, but they got married. So let me show you the picture that they have. Look at them right there. Lisa and Sean Fay. I thought they were married. I guess legally they were, or in the terms of how long they've been together. I'm not even sure, but believe me, they were meant to be. And congratulations to them. They are big Bigfoot researchers, and they love hiking and they love being out in the woods. And of course, you can see right there, that's what they did. They got married in the woods. I think that's very sweet. Great people. I'm glad to know them. They're a lot of fun, and in the future, they're up in the Pacific Northwest. In the future, I'm going to their home and experience all the little weird stuff that goes on around their house. So I'm looking forward to that. All right, so let's start the show here. We will take Q&A in the live chat. You can put a question up as the discussion happens, but I probably won't see it because there's a lot of conversation that usually occurs. So, if you do that, just remember to do it again later, but put them all in caps. Put it all in caps so I can see it, the question or the comment, so I can try to find it, okay? And by the way, sometimes, I don't know why, but you don't see all the comments that you guys leave. I don't know why. I don't see them all. There's something called top chat and live chat, and I keep it on live chat, which is supposed to give me everything. And for some reason, I won't see your question. I know some of you all get mad. Don't get mad. I don't see it because I rummaged through that whole thing, right? And then later on, I'll see it and say, they did post it, but I never saw it. So please bear with us on that. Just ask it again. Just throw it up there again. It's okay. You won't bother us too much. It's okay. Well, it's not a problem. All right, so now we've heard a lot about, by the way, Freedom Fest is like in a couple weeks. I know Sean Worthington of Cloud's going to be there, and he might have a big announcement. I'm hoping that Stan Larimer will also be there at the same time, and maybe they get to meet up and celebrate something together too. I don't know. I hope so. That's what we're all cheering on from what Sean said last time when he was on here. And don't forget that Billion Hero campaign has launched. It's easy, it's free, and you will learn how to work with bitshares as well as the exchange. And I guess tonight what we're going to learn is how bitshares, STEEM, and EOS all fit together. I'm still learning it myself, so let's see if tonight we can get it in layman's terms to where we can see how this works. First of all, if we're going to bring on Stan Larimer, the godfather of bitshares, the man who comes up with tons of ideas, and he knows how to say hello the Blue Rocker way. So, hey, Stan, how are you?
Hey, Connie, doing good.
Yeah? Oops, I lost you there. Where'd you go? Let me bring you back on. You flipped off. Well, maybe the other guy did, because I just see you on there now, so I hope he comes back. So before we bring on our other guest, do you have any updates for us before we bring on the guy that most people have never seen before while he also tries to call back in for us? Because I think he went away.
Yeah, I see him right there. I don't know whether you see him or not, but I see him.
I don't see him anymore.
I
did see him.
Well, yes, I see him. And he's waving at me and sipping on his big gulp or whatever it is he's got there. So I know he's there.
Dan. Hi, Smoothie Stan. I've got a drink.
Oh, there we go. Now I got him on, and there he is. Okay, there he is. Well, okay, everybody.
It must have been attached to my microphone, apparently. When I unmuted myself, It must have turned on my video for you, which is fine. I don't understand all of technology sometimes.
Then we are talking to the wrong guy tonight. No, everybody. Everybody. Okay, you all know Stan Larimer, the godfather of bitshares. Yay, woohoo! But here's a guy that for a while everybody has been saying, get Fuzzy on, and Stan too backed him up. Everybody loves this man. This is Fuzzy. So now you guys know that he is real. He's not just a voice. I don't get the Barry White voice at all like some people here. But
I don't either.
I don't. Oh, well, maybe.
He has the most recognizable mellow voice in the industry.
Now he's gone again. Now you're gone again. So
I was thinking about taking. Oh, really?
Yep. So whatever you're hitting, there you go. Now you're back.
I am.
Don't move.
Hands off.
Yeah, exactly.
Tonight.
He never went away. I saw him the whole time.
This is so weird.
Oh, now he's off again, and it's off on your Skype because you called him, right, or he called you. Are you all together?
Well, I think we're all on the same call-in thing.
We in a group?
Yeah, I created a group just for this.
Well, dear, I was going to show my shirt, but I will tell you that on my shirt it shows Voltron.
Now he's back.
Yeah, okay, that's fine enough for me. As long as it doesn't do it again, you want to keep on going and let's roll the dice again.
Yeah, baby, stay on there. Don't leave. Don't leave. I want to see your face.
Right on the wild technology train.
Right. This ain't no podcast, baby. This is a show with faces. We want to see your face when you tell us what you're talking about. We want to look in those eyes and see that soul.
Sorry.
So this is Fuzzy, everybody. Now, you guys, so I got an idea. All right, so we pretty much have learned a lot about Stan. Everybody loves Stan in every way and facet. Now, those of you that are new, Fuzzy's new to you. But those of you that have been in the crypto world, apparently everybody loves Fuzzy, so this is great. So let's go. So let's ask
Maybe
Stan.
not everybody, but most people I meet.
Most people.
We'll
find out tonight. I'm sure they'll chime in. So Stan, could you let's just have a little fun here. Can you describe Fuzzy from your perspective, how you know him and what you think of him?
Well, Fuzzy is the universal adapter for the entire BitShares ecosystem, and bigger than that. In fact, I think he named his organization Beyond Bitcoin, and he's been with us, I think, at least as long as I have. I mean, back to the very beginning of time. We're coming up on the 4th of July, which is the 5-year anniversary of BitShares. And I guess I should describe, Fuzzy started by running together things that he calls hangouts. And basically, he has scheduled times where people get together and talk about interesting stuff in the industry. And so he's done more than anybody else I can think of to tie the community together and give a chance for people to talk about stuff. And he started out with BitShares, but at the time, he would use that one forum to talk about other people that were doing things to spin off what was happening in BitShares into other cool topics. And since then, he's gotten so super organized that I can't even keep track of everything he's done. I think he's on the air maybe 8 hours a week or something, if I had to guess. And I guess at this point, I'd take a quick moment to define something here for the sake of this group, because I can't figure out what name to give it. I mean, we could technically say that he tends to talk about things that have to do with the basic technology underlying BitShares, STEEM and EOS. That's known to the technical people as graphene. But since nobody else knows what that is, I prefer to decide I could call it the EOS Empire, since it's got billions that it's raised. But, nobody names a dynasty after the biggest person. It usually gets named after the founding king before it even became an empire. So I'm going to call it the BitShares dynasty. And that includes everything that ever spun off out of BitShares using that technology. And so we're here tonight to talk about stuff I don't know, okay, because I tend to focus on BitShares, but Fuzzy has a much higher, broader perspective, because he's taken a personal interest in everything everybody's done, and in fact has done a lot of things under his own initiative, which I'm sure he'll talk about as we go on right now. So he's not just an observer anymore. He is a doer and a stimulator of great stuff. So there, Fuzzy, did I cover you in some small way?
Yeah, I will say this, though. I also,
there you
a
are.
lot of the time I feel like, can you hear me?
You know what? It is. Somebody suggested that it's Stan, when you talk, we don't see him. And then when you do talk, we see you.
Oh, yeah. You know why? They have a setting that's normally on Skype. I do actually know this. Finally, I know something.
All right.
Okay. Whenever you talk, it pans automatically to that person.
Oh, we don't want that one. There's a way to put you all three up at the same time.
I have no clue how to do that.
Oh, I don't like it that way. That's awful. I want you all up there. And you got this as a group, Stan? We're as a group? We're as a group, Stan?
Yeah, I got the three of us in a group.
Oh,
So should he call you directly, maybe?
Maybe.
I will probably have the same problem, Stan, because I know just as little on this, and mine's probably defaulted at the same thing. That's my take on it. But I'm more than
yeah. You call me back. Call me back directly.
Okay, let's see.
Okay, bye. See you later.
Bye.
Bye. Go. That is exactly right. When he talked, I saw him. when you talked, I saw you.
Well, I kind of like the idea of when I talk, it shoves everybody out of my way. So I
You got it.
get in front of the camera and hug the camera. This is great. Well, I don't see a problem with that, Connie.
You're right. What am I thinking?
Here he is calling. Are you going to answer?
Yes, I'll answer.
I'll try not.
Yeah, don't answer it. Oh, now Stan left. You guys are great hanging in there with us. Well, I do have you now. Oh, and I hear you talking. Okay, that's good.
Yeah, I have him in here.
I know it says that he's on there.
He'll probably just have to join again. Let's see.
Let's hang up. Hang up, Stan.
Well, we gave you a chance to answer, Connie, but you didn't, so I finally wound up and answered.
Oh, I didn't see that I could. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, what we really wanted, Fuzzy, was to call straight just to pure Connie, not the Connie and Stan group.
Oh, okay. My apologies. Hold on, I'll call you right back.
Oh, yeah. Stay out of the group. Yeah, exactly right. Okay.
Okay.
Bye. Thanks for clearing that up, Stan.
It's always an adventure here, isn't it?
It is. And you know what? I mean, it's like I can have my stuff right on and then there's something weird going on somewhere else. Okay. So who is that? Is that him calling now?
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. Now it says you've left. So I do have you, Ben. Well,
okay, you got me.
Fuzzy.
Yeah, you're good.
Names. Okay, got you.
It's a new world, isn't it? That's crazy stuff. Never before would you have seen people getting known under names like Fuzzy.
Well, I'm just going to add Stan in to see how it works.
Cool.
I don't know. I'm not.
No, it's. I will be honest with you. Nope. Generally, I don't have problems on Skype, so I don't know. Sometimes it happens, though. So it's like you said, they change one thing that you're using.
Yeah.
You might be using a suite of things, and it changes everything.
It's true. It's so true.
Hey, Bubba.
It is true. Oh, I think, Stan, you have to hang up in this one. I don't like this group thing.
Okay, I'm here. There we go. Now I've got 3 calls up here.
Okay, here we go. We're all up there. Okay. Oh my gosh.
We are technologically advanced.
We did it. I don't know what we did, but nobody moved.
All jokes aside, all this technology has bugs, and it's cool to know that we have decentralized ways of having open source decentralized movements towards building and maintaining these types of things, right? So it's in a dynamic way. It's like a living organism, right? So you no longer have to worry about a centralized authority that is making sure that everything's up and running, because if it stops running because of one person, another person can pick it up, or a group of people can pick it up if it's something that's good for us all, so that's why I like the idea of, nothing against Skype, but I'm a crypto person.
Well, speaking of that, so, okay, Stan spoke about you. How about you speaking for Stan? How do you know Stan, and what are your thoughts about Stan Larimer, the godfather of bitshares?
I would say, it was funny because I was talking to you earlier, and I said, make sure that Stan calls himself a co-founder of bitshares. And I said that for a reason. I wasn't saying it to joke around. I was saying it because there are a lot of people in crypto who take credit for a lot of things. And I'm not saying that everybody who takes credit in crypto for something didn't have anything to do with it. But what I am saying is crypto is the wild, wild west. So you've got to double check a lot of things on a lot of people. And I would sufficiently say that I'll just never forget, think bigger, Pinky. right? And ironically, that's something that my dad always joked around with me, which is one of the reasons why I felt so at home, actually, on the BitShares Talk forums. Like some weird thing from when I was younger. I won't even get into it.
Is that Pinky in the Brain? Are you talking about Pinky in the Brain?
Oh, of course.
All right.
Take over the world tonight, Pinky.
Love it. That's right.
Think bigger, Pinky. Think bigger. Right?
That's right.
But that was something that I'll never forget, because I think that actually has a lot to do with the Voltron concept, that it has roots in that. And that's, I mean, you're one of the people who's been here from the very beginning of this. Like, you were listening to Dan probably talking about it nonstop, right? Like, you were one of the first people hearing Dan talk about it nonstop. So that shows people how early you were into it, because whether you wanted to be or not, you were. But at some point you decided, I'm in this. Right. And I don't think it was very long after you figured out what was going on, like after you started hearing about it, you started liking it and thinking Pinky in the Brain style. Right. Let's build some cool stuff. Right. And it doesn't have to be evil, of course. Right. But that's another subject altogether.
It's true.
But, you know, I will say that it's hard to do things in this space because A, you don't want to have to ask permission, but B, if you want to get something done, you generally need money to do it, and that means you generally need somebody's permission, right? And we were there during times when we didn't have a whole lot of money to do stuff, but we were doing it, but because we cared about it. And Stan has always been there doing that. He's been like at the heart of all of that. So I love to see people who are willing to be there from the very beginning and trudge through, like you've heard me say it. You plant those seeds, and the storm, the strongest tree, the trees with the strongest roots are the ones that stay up, right? And those are the ones that, because you have a strong community, it'll weather those storms. And you need people who are helping in the community, who are doing it because they believe in something, and that's what Stan's been this entire time. So I'm glad that you've been open to things, that you always think of things as an experiment, which is the rocket scientist in you. But I think that it's something that we need people to think about more in crypto, because I think, like I always joke about it with people, they're like, oh, we don't need another chain. We don't need, we can have one chain. And it's like, guys, there's trillions of dollars. There's a pinata with trillions of dollars above it. Filled in it, so like all you got to do is like keep whacking away at that pinata, and eventually everybody's going to have enough to build whatever communities they want. We'll have complementary currencies like we once did, right? Only they'll be very empowered by our technology too, and wielded by people who hopefully have been educated enough by things like this to know how to use it, and maybe the things that we need to be concerned about with the technology too. But at the heart of all of it, you have people like Stan who've been there from the very beginning having these discussions. And it's been a while, Stan. It's been a while. How long have you been in? I don't know. I know you since BitShares, but I never knew you before that. So maybe this is an opportunity, if you don't mind, Connie, for me to slide that one in there.
Absolutely, slide it in.
Well, it was about 5-point-something years ago when Dan first started discussing this early in the spring of 2013 with the Bitcoin community, and ran into Charles Hoskinson, and Charles found an investor in China, Li Sailai, and he decided to give some funding, and Dan asked me to start the company and handle the business side while he focused on the technology. And so I was basically there when the original company, Invictus Innovations, was formed. And so I've been involved ever since, a little over 5 years now.
So Connie was asking me earlier, Ben Quixote, where does Quixote come from?
Yeah, he said to ask you about that.
oh, man. Well.
And by the way, that's the name that's one of Fuzzy's names. So.
One of my names.
I'm
a sly one.
He's got that. It's like, who is this guy? He's all over the place.
Well, when we first got started, and Dan knew he was going to take a while to develop bitshares. And Charles was looking for what else can we do to build together a community, and he got the idea of building a product which was sort of part wallet and part communications tool to provide private communications and a lot of other features he put together. And so we started out to sort of develop that. And at the time, we had this meme of Don Quixote de la Mancha, the famous character who was known for tilting windmills, going off after impossible dreams. And so as we talked at someplace along the line, the product got named after him, but we didn't want to spell it the way Don Quixote spells his name, so it became Quixote.
Oh,
and so
okay.
Ben Quixote is sort of a mixture between Obi-Wan Kenobi and Don Quixote, and you get Ben Quixote. I guess that's how it came into existence.
That's actually pretty perfect.
Themes, okay, and so you'll see recurring themes on Don Quixote and on Pinky and the Brain and Back to the Future, and I don't know. I've lost track of them all, but there's quite a few.
Scientific nerd stuff.
Well, tell me, are you guys Rick and Morty fans? I love Rick and Morty. Come on. Pickle
I
Rick!
don't get to watch it, but I've seen just a little bit. My brother just told me about it and showed me a clip, and I laughed my butt off. I won't lie.
Funny.
But I don't know, Stan, if you
Funny show.
Yeah.
I've never heard of it. Is that something current?
Pickle Rick! It's great. It's great. It's Rick and Morty, and Morty's the grandson, and Rick is the father, and he's the grandfather. He's like this crazy dude that comes up with all these great ideas, and he goes through different dimensions and all sorts of stuff, and he can pull you in another dimension, and just crazy things you would never even think of happen. At one point, he turned himself into a pickle so he wouldn't have to go to therapy with the family. And he had it set up to once they left, he could have turned himself back into it, but they figured out, hey, wait a minute, he rigged this. He turned himself into a pickle so he wouldn't have to go to therapy with us. And so this whole thing happened where he was a pickle, and he rolled out of the garage and into
Everything's frozen up on my
the
side.
gutter, and it was hilarious. So, it froze. You look great over here.
I'll say this.
You look really good over here, Stan. We see you.
Yeah, the scientists in there, the guy who's the scientist in there, I would say is the complete opposite demeanor of Stan.
Rick, it's such
but I
a
think
funny
that you
show.
would appreciate his passions. Other than that,
The other one, before we get into the discussion, the other one is Silicon Valley. You have to watch Silicon Valley. It is you guys. It's you guys.
I know, like, I've seen just enough of it to, like, I saw this one guy who's this human resources guy, and he's like waving with his finger, and I was like, hey, that's me.
Oh, that one's you? Okay.
Like, that's the guy who's running around like, what's going on? Like, I'm not the coder. I'm not the coder, but I can help.
Excellent.
We need these hands to give people. All right, let's do that.
It's one of the funniest shows out there, and when I watch it, I think of you guys. And not only do I think of you guys, but, he wants to build a decentralized internet. Holy cow.
I've heard that's what they're doing now.
Yeah.
I've heard that's what they're doing now. They're going to build their own blockchain type of ecosystem. I have not watched it. I should.
Oh, you have
it's
to.
just like, yeah, I think you guys probably understand. Like, you have limited time, and sometimes you'll get stuff in, but generally, if you're anything like me, you probably bite off more than you can chew even when you get the free time. So you're like, oh, I got extra time. I'll do this too. Right? So
Stan, I'm just going to have Stan call right back again. So just hang up
course.
and call back. But call back the way you did before, Stan. Because you and I are fine, and Stan is frozen. So.
Do you want me to hang up and
No,
call?
don't touch anything.
Okay.
Stan, we'll have Stan call back.
Fair enough. This might be Comcast, too. I've figured out since just recently that our router doesn't go very fast and that you need to replace it with your own router.
I have a gigabyte. I've got, a gigabyte of speed. I got Ethernet. I'm all set as much, trying to fix everything on my side. So I'm hoping this is not me. But Stan,
Yeah.
I hope you hang up and call me back. Hopefully he'll figure it out. Otherwise, he looks pretty good right now on the shot. But yes.
Yeah, I mean,
Pat,
I would not deny that. I would say that's a good shot for it to get stuck on.
It's true. It's not
God
a bad
knows I've
one.
had.
He's not like going, it's not like.
Yeah, one of those ones where you look like you might be a little bit have some problems.
Like you're sitting on the toilet or something, No, he looks good. He looks okay. That's funny. One of the blue rockers out there, Patrick Connie Electric, says Stan is just meditating. So while Stan hangs up and calls back, we'll wait for you, Stan, to do that. Hopefully he can at least hear us. While he does that, I'll wait. I'll just put it on you and I. We'll kick him off until he calls me
kick
back.
him off.
There you go.
He's causing all these problems.
Stan, call back and then wave. I'll be able to see you. Okay, he did. He hung up. All right. So it's good to finally meet you. Everybody says wonderful things about you, and so far it's been true. So. And it's cool. You're going to watch Silicon Valley. Let me know what you think of it. And you got a little piece of brick and mortar.
Of course.
But so one of the big things we want to know, definitely, and when Stan comes in, I'll bring him back in. You are not frozen, are you?
Me?
No. Oh my gosh, this is
Me?
Yes. Now you're frozen. Y'all, I'm
just going to use this as an opportunity, Connie, to say that most people who do this, like a lot of people don't realize just how much goes on.
They have no idea.
In live streaming something.
Yeah.
Especially they're generally whole crews. And I didn't know this stuff. I'm an amateur at it. I don't have an entire crew that does it. I have a lot of people who help me, but I don't have an entire crew that cuts and edits and runs things live and cut to a commercial while we fix this. None of that. We don't have that stuff. So it tends to happen. But the cool thing is that we have the opportunity to do this because we need to start exercising this.
Yes.
More and more. We need to stop listening to what other people say on the television all the time, right? Sure, listen to them, but don't sit there and argue with them whenever they can't listen to you. Go get on, whether it's on just mic. You don't even have to be seen. You can just go talk about what you care about and what you think and continue doing it. And you can get a message out there, and after a while, by gosh, you figure out maybe you've learned a few things, and then then you don't really have to think all the time that this person has to be I always have to listen to Fox News or MSNBC or any of them. You start realizing there are other friends who you talk to, kind of like what you do. I'm sure you've learned a lot from all the people you've talked to, right? You've learned probably more than you ever learned on a team working for an editor somewhere.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Talking to people. And I have these different playlists. Blue Rock Talk is the network. And the playlist, Bigfoot Friday, that's an affiliate. That's like a station affiliate, right? That's a cable network, right? Yeah. then we got, Stan's Bible lecture on Sundays. So that takes, it's a whole nother realm. Then you have the Crypto Connie Tuesdays and, just everything. It's fun to do so many different things and be in the middle of all that and just have different perspectives. It's Earth's most interesting conversation. So as long as the conversation's interesting, it can be anything. So just this as well. And Stan, you're back. You're looking good. Everything's good. When you were frozen, Stan, we were just commenting that you looked good. It wasn't a bad shot where your eyes were crossed or halfway.
Okay, can I ask you a real quick question, Connie? This is burning in my head ever since you said,
"Oh no,
Bigfoot Fridays," right?
Sure, yeah. Mm-hmm.
What is the consensus in the community? Because I've heard this, and I like coast-to-coast stuff. I listen to a lot of it. Sometimes I'm surprised, sometimes I'm entertained, but I always love it, right? So my question is the consensus in the Bigfoot community that it is a terrestrial being or an interdimensional one?
Well, first off, shameless plug, I'll be on Coast to Coast July 6th and July 14th.
Okay.
Shameless
Well,
plug,
I did not
shameless
expect
plug.
that, but
There you
you're
go.
more than welcome. I'll
Thank
listen
you.
to it.
Thank you. You know what? That's a big, you have kill and no kill. And then you have that it's, flesh and blood, or that it's terrestrial, extraterrestrial or dimensional. There's a big argument about all that. So nobody, really knows. Other people will say they definitely know, and some people say, we don't know. And there's many different kinds. So there's some that are flesh and blood. There's some, in fact, I was told recently that the ones that are flesh and blood, I think, are the ones that are called trachons. And then there's other ones that are interdimensional and orbs and all kinds of fun stuff. And a lot of people believe they're straight out of the Bible, and I'd love to have one of them and Stan talk sometime. I think that would be fun.
Yeah. Well, here's the funny thing. Like, we're talking about cryptocurrency, and for a while it was so, it was so weird. Cryptocurrency, what the heck? And for some of us, like me, I was there like, oh, I remember how much people liked digital items, and wow, they paid lots of money for that stuff. I know that's real. And most people were like, oh my God, But we live on this planet that's like this speck in this seemingly infinite void, with wormholes and a bunch of different, gosh knows what's out there, right? But here's the thing. Who knows, right? I remember my wife saying something that she'd seen UFO before, and I was like, when I see it, I'll believe it. And sure enough, I saw 27 of them one night going through the sky in a way that I've never seen an aircraft move, and I lived on an Air Force base for 10 years. So the things that are out there, we don't know. And it seems like the opportunity and options are endless for us, and it's up to us to define what we do with it, right? So it's like, I think we're in this point where we're exploring and discovering all these new things with the tools that we have, and it's just starting on a renaissance. So maybe we'll find that Bigfoot, and maybe people will be like, holy crap, there was a real Bigfoot.
It's there, it'll change your life, and then you're like, And you know what I find with most people too, is whenever they see something like that, it changes their perspective in life totally. It totally changes the way you think. But the bigger question, one of the bigger questions is, where does God fit into it? That's usually people's first question. And the other thing is, it makes God bigger. Because everybody thinks, oh, then it must take God away. It makes God bigger. And it's really something, then you're like, well, how does that all fit in? So people use like the giants that were in Genesis and the hairy people, right, in Genesis, Stan, right? The hairy people and the big people, the giant people, they're all in Genesis?
Definitely. Lots of talk. Genesis 6 talks a lot about giants just before the flood. I'm not sure about hairy people.
There's something about hairy people or hairy men or something, I thought.
It's Esau was a hairy guy compared to Jacob, but I'm not sure that's what you mean.
Maybe he was just hairy, he just one of those guys that has that hair on his back that you're always like, oh man, don't let me fall in love with that man. Oh, I fell in love with that man. Okay, we'll just shave it. Nobody will ever see it. It's just that's a girl thing. All right, so and one of the things, just because you brought up that topic, blue rockers out there and Coast insiders as well, very open-minded people, and I think the best to tell about cryptocurrencies because they're open to it. And I think that makes a difference because there's so many people close to it. And I think it just kind of trickles from there. So we have bitshares, we have STEAM, and we have EOS. So if I'm right, and Stan, correct me if I'm wrong on this, these are all of your son's ideas and dreams, and he made them happen. We were just talking about that earlier today, Fuzzy and I, that, you can have an idea, but it really doesn't mean too much until somebody puts that idea into action. So Dan had these ideas and put them into action, and they've been successful. So now, am I right about all that so far?
Yeah, there's other things that other people have done with the technology, like peer plays, and this is Fuzzy could probably run down a list of people who have taken the technology and so-called forked it and customized it and advanced it in different ways. So I've lost track now. I'd say there's getting pretty close to a dozen different projects out there that are based on this technology. Now, Dan personally was involved with the three you mentioned, and he did them serially, and then turned them over to different groups to run, because from the very beginning, 5 years ago, when we started talking about this, we said you got to let go. You can't hold on to your project and have it be decentralized. So some people say, well, Dan keeps abandoning projects. No, he builds them and sets them free, and then goes and builds another one and sets it free.
Ooh, that's sweet. Boy, that gave me chills, Stan. Give me a fist bump for that one. Oh, that was good. Oh, that was sweet.
What's crazy to me is whenever people say that, I have always said it's kind of interesting to me, because when people say that, these are generally crypto people. And if you look at what Satoshi did, that's pretty much what Satoshi did. He pretty much left it in the hands of the community, right? So, or she. We don't know.
Yeah, what's the story?
Let's be clear about that. All of them.
What's the story behind that? Because people like me are like, wait a minute, there is somebody behind it, there isn't somebody behind it. I've heard all these stories.
You know what? I'll just say that I think that sometimes I wonder, some people think that Dan might be Satoshi. I won't necessarily say that I disagree with that. I'm not going to say that that's the case. But I would, I would not be surprised.
Maybe it's Stan.
He said, I've talked to him, and I could have asked him, but I would never believe him whatever he said anyway, probably. So I just leave it, and we don't need to know. All that matters is that we're building things that are cool and that are going to be helpful if we are judicious with how we apply it. And use it to help ourselves and leverage it for the right things, like crack open that piñata of trillions of stolen money and inject it into amazing communities that want to build things and feel like they've experienced creation on Earth, which I believe is what God wants us to do, which is what he or she or it did for us, was created us. So fractal nature of the universe, we're probably just supposed to experience that in our own way, right? But but the point is,
keep going down that rabbit hole there. Just keep going down that rabbit hole.
You can, right? But it's because this stuff does go that deep, I think. And I think it's going back to what Stan was saying. We have all these new technology. I mean, all these new chains coming out, leveraging this technology, and before, we would have all these different coins that weren't very valuable, and that's because they didn't offer anything of real value other than the community was valuable, but they're still waiting for 60 seconds for a transaction, even or 10 minutes in the case of a lot of them, or they can't do more than a certain amount of transactions per second. These are the types of things that keep things from working for people. And then we have use cases like bitshares and Steem, and it becomes useful. And why is that possible? Because we have scalable blockchains that work. And now we have people who are creating, and we're discovering that in that kind of renaissance, this new renaissance, right? So, yeah, there are a lot of different projects that are coming, and I think that a lot of people are going to be building with it. Could you hold on one moment?
Yeah, sure. He's got to do the daddy thing and check on the kid, I can tell. So he's hilarious, isn't he? Oh, my gosh. And great philosophy, too.
He is the greatest personality in our ecosystem.
Oh, wow.
In the dynasty.
Oh, I love it. Yes, the dynasty. Absolutely. Well, I want to ask you guys some questions when he comes back. And okay, there he is. Did you take care of the kid? Is that what was it the child?
Yeah, I have a child. I have a 4-year-old. So no matter what I do, I'm always interrupted for a short period of time, frequently, with various things.
Well, I want to do something here. I want to ask you both the same questions. They're going to be very simple, basic questions, but I want you guys to give your answer in just a sentence for newbies that are coming in, and also people that can hear your perspective. Okay, so I'll ask Stan first, and then you, Fuzzy. So, and they're very simple. You've heard them over and over again, but if you can just put them in quick layman's terms in a sentence as brief as possible. Okay, so Stan, what is a blockchain?
It's just a decentralized ledger that can't be corrupted, no middleman, and we don't have to have some central place to depend on keeping track of what the true facts of the world are.
Okay. All right. Fuzzy, what is the blockchain?
A shared distributed ledger that is decentralized in its control.
Ooh, he said it in less words than you, Stan.
Well, I don't know. I probably missed a bunch of things that he added on there though too. So
that's all right.
It's a trade-off.
That's it. Well, and okay. So Stan, what is bitshares? In a sentence.
It is a smart coin factory and decentralized exchange sitting on a blockchain.
Fuzzy.
I will say it's like the mall where you can have tokens for every store.
Ooh.
That came from Stan.
No,
actually.
You absolutely win that one because that was cool.
The funny thing is, that is basically a quote from what he said about in the very beginning of BitShares. So
I believe it. Because he does do that. Yeah, he stole it from your booty. Okay, so all right, Stan. Let's go. Right? Let's go with Fuzzy first on this one, so you can be more creative afterwards. Okay, give him a second. Okay, Fuzzy. Describe Steam. And Steam it. Describe Steam it and Steam.
That's a hard one. I will say mutual aid society roots with a blogosphere theme.
Stan, what is Steam and Steam it?
It's a place where you can get paid in digital currency for posting or curating good content.
Oh. That I could see that one written in an actual dictionary. That would be there. That would be there.
That's a good one to teach people.
That's right.
Like to not have them want to go research more and have to figure out what the hell that I just meant.
I like the way you said it though. It was cool. Okay, so we'll ask Fuzzy this first too. To be fair again, Fuzzy, what is EOS? And is it EOS or EOS?
Well, one thing I will say, I call it the exponential operating system. However, that's the whole
kit and caboodle.
That's the whole think bigger pinky thing that I think that delegated proof of stake and those types of chains make possible. So I won't get too deep into it other than to say that a lot of people, I don't think, quite understand yet what's going to be possible with delegated proof of stake and EOS.
Okay, so in a sentence, what do you believe is going to be possible? As brief as you can in a sentence.
Beyond Bitcoin.
Ooh.
Yeah. I've been here waiting for this. I'm not going to lie.
I love it. I'm
still tired a little bit at times because it's been going for so long, but how can you stop? How can you stop right now? It's almost like too much energy at times. And it's even just ramping up. You remember what you used to talk about, Stan. Eventually, it's going to get to this point where it's going to be moving so fast that we're going to be even like, oh God, so much stuff, and that's where we're reaching now, right? Like, is CoinMarketCap going to have a bunch of delegated proof of stake coins pushing out all the other proof of work coins because they can't side chain or cross chain to one another? Who knows?
Okay, Stanley. Or Stan, sorry. I'm starting to call you Stanley now, aren't I? I'm sorry. I don't know where it came from.
Should have made Stan start first.
No, this is good. Yeah, now he's dying to answer, I can tell. He's got it in his head. He was just waiting for all of us to shut up. Okay, so Stan, what is EOS to you, and how should we pronounce it?
Well, I think you pronounced it right there. EOS is the way I understand it's pronounced, and I think it stands for Earth's operating system.
Ooh.
But, the one thing we're all sure of is the OS probably stands for operating system, because Dan says he is building an operating system the next layer lower. I think if you were to say that Bitcoin can be thought of as a Word document, and bitshares can be thought of as Microsoft Word, a way for manipulating lots of different Word documents. And then you could think of EOS as Mac OS or Windows, the operating system on which you could host lots of different applications and make it a lot easier than coding everything from scratch. It provides a lot of the low-level blockchain components, so make it easier for people to do all kinds of cool things and for multiple blockchains to talk together. And I think that's sort of the thing that ties all this together in terms of our grand theme tonight, is to say that people have been wondering, well, is each one of these new products that Dan's been working on, make the others obsolete as you do it? And no. One of the things EOS brings is the ability to have lots of EOS chains and have them all talk together and interact together, and therefore other chains that are compatible with that can join that family, and that includes STEEM and bitshares. And so what we wind up having is probably, and once again, the bitshares dynasty or the EOS empire, take your pick, depending on how where you're coming from, but that is going to be something, because it's got similar technology, easy to integrate and interact. So I view in the future, people aren't going to be talking about individual projects that are built with all this wonderful technology. They'll be talking about running on the bitshares EOS kind of ecosystem, and that will be something that I think will continue to grow. Right now, that ecosystem processes 75% of all transactions in the entire public industry. We can't say what's happening, behind the scenes in individual enterprise companies that may have private applications, but everything that's out there in public available can be added up, and we find that the bitshares dynasty runs 3/4 of all transactions, and that means 3 times as many transactions as the entire rest of the industry combined. Bitcoin gets maybe 5% of that. So that gives you an idea of what I mean when I say dynasty. I think that combination of things is going to grow to dominate, and things that do mining are going to shrink to a tiny little boutique industry that won't be very important.
That was the question I was going to ask you. Will this just totally destroy mining, which will destroy Bitcoin? Or could they say, hey, jump off this ship? And should they? And let's go to bitshares or EOS.
It won't destroy mining. It'll just make it a specialty footnote. Bitcoin will always be there because it's first, and a lot of people have built stuff on it. And it's a reference currency, and it'll have its niche. Okay, but it's not going to do all the things that we've been talking about. It's hardly going to do any of the things we've been talking about. It's going to sit there and be one coin. Okay, an important coin, but just.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on that there, Fuzzy?
I think he said it. I'll add one thing. I think when people realize, how about I describe it like this? Right now, the centralization factor in cryptocurrency is centralized exchanges. And because of that, there's really, that's a big problem. Like, that's one of the points where it can be grabbed and your money can be taken from you, right? Your money isn't even yours anymore. So yeah, at that point, like, there are literally accounts that I can't pull my money out of until I tell them everything about myself, and I put it in there without them knowing any of those things, right? But at some point in time, I still think we're going to need things like bitshares because you're going to trade them. But I'll also say that it's almost like we're going to have super highways between townships, right? And right now in cryptocurrencies, it's like you have these different towns, but they don't have very big roads, and they're not connecting each other, and they can't easily ship back and forth to one another. And what happens when you put those roads down? What happens is people start communicating and becoming a citizen of all of them. And then what happens is there becomes more commerce and more interaction between these hubs. Centers grow up that become super mega cities because of brilliant people who all combined and started in this place, right? So you're going to have, I think, I really like the idea of real estate when they say it like that, because it's almost like network effect real estate, only it's infinite to a degree. Well, I won't say infinite, but because I'm talking to a physicist here, but I will say that the capacity is staggering compared to what we see right now with standalone cryptocurrencies.
It's interesting too about what you say about the roadways, because when I get those notifications from Telegram that I can't turn off, that I think Stan did earlier, I said, how do you turn this thing off? It's just going all night. People talking constantly on all of these. But you can see where people are basically, where there's not a roadway, it's like they're clearing it out, this trail, they're clearing out a trail. And that's what I see with Telegram. So the way you talked about it, I see those people, wait a minute, I'm trying to figure out a way to help you here. Let's see if we can do this. Let's see if we can do that. And it's like that, first guy that's making a trail from this city to that city, and then they're walking it, and, and finally some pavement comes along. I guess that's when money comes along, right? And
that's when Bob, who has great milk, starts shipping to Tina, who raises great goats.
Yes.
And
we got the farmer guy here, forget a physicist, he's a farmer too. And so Stan, how do you see that? Yeah. How do you see all that, what he just said? I think that's a great way to look at it. I love when you all throw out those visual analogies, because I'm really good with that. And I think a lot of people are.
Yeah, that's actually a nice segue into something I wanted to pick Fuzzy's brain about.
Excellent.
Okay. I have been, for quite a few months now, looking to encourage the community to develop ways to take advantage of EOS technology as it's coming along in ways that benefit bitshares and STEEM as we go along. Particularly, my focus has been on bitshares. And what we see is how does a decentralized industry, not just a decentralized blockchain, okay, but a decentralized industry, deal with technical progress and evolution, if you will, of what we're building together. Mm-hmm. And the answer is there's not going to be one way to integrate bitshares and STEEM it and so on. There's a half a dozen different projects out there that are doing different things. The core developers of bitshares are naturally and correctly taking a very careful approach, because they're considering doing surgery on something that's already running that people have built on top of. You don't want to do that and break something while you're going on, but yet there are things that can be done for cross-chain kind of communications and stuff. I noticed Fox just had a little write-up in STEEM it today talking about some of those ideas. And so that's one example. There are other people like Jared Rice that are building entire new ways that don't even involve the blockchain, decentralized web kind of applications that have their place. There's CloudCoin, which you've talked about on here, which once again doesn't involve a blockchain. It's a completely different type of asset, but brings new enriching features to the ecosystem. And then there's some projects that we're developing. One is based in the Quintrix system, the gold-backed coins and so on. And it has some special properties. The Quint wants to be portable across all these chains. A Quint can flow around bitshares and trade against things, and then transparently flow across onto some various EOS blockchains and so on. So that's another way of looking at it. And then I've got one that I'm working on with some developers. We're not really ready to talk about it too much yet, although I have posted some ideas about the requirements or the things I'd like to see it have. that will involve multiple chains, all using the same common witness nodes as a way to implement different types of interconnectivity. I expect those things to be able to coexist. Maybe one will become more used than the other, but it's too early to tell which. So I go around talking to the different people who have different ideas about how to take advantage of this total cornucopia, if anybody remembers what that word is, a smorgasbord of
Thanksgiving
technology. Yeah, and let's all work together and encourage. We do have a little tribal nature in the industry, and as bitshares has grown, it's gotten tribal inside. Okay, and I think that's probably going to be the case on EOS, because there'll be multiple EOS change, and those will be tribes, and it's big enough to have some tribes everywhere, and that's what humans do, right? There's these two forces that are going on. The force is towards building up an empire and centralizing it as countries get bigger and bigger and conquer each other and so on, and there's the strive for freedom and breaking up and everybody going their own separate way and wanting to have a little part of the universe that operates on the rules they like and wanting to have a choice. And those forces are at work right now as big companies come in to our industry and say, well, I'm going to throw the XYZ Fortune 500 company brand name behind our solution, and I'm going to get a lot of people to come to it.
They're behind all of them these days.
Yeah.
Nothing against it, but I mean, they're obviously there was a company. Why wouldn't they, though, right? One of the people who I work with quite frequently, he actually mentioned Blockchain Tea Company, and how whenever they added the blockchain, hold on, my son.
Sounds like a little monster. Holy cow! Go get it.
No, his mother probably told him he couldn't do something. But when they added the blockchain name to their tea company went up like 300%. And they even said on their blockchain doesn't have anything to do with this company. We just named ourselves the Blockchain Tea Company, essentially. And whenever you see that buzz, how do you not stamp your company on there, you know? So it's like...
Now, one of the things that I wanted to sort of hear from Fuzzy, because one of the things that you notice about the EOS community, it's huge. And if you ever to sit down and try to look at the Telegram channels for EOS, there's too much stuff there to read. Okay, if I were to try to read everything posted on those channels and everything done by the EOS community, that's all I would do, is become an observer. Okay, so I know only a tiny fraction of what's going on. Yet, by virtue of the kind of things Fuzzy does, he, gets a chance to hear a lot of people talking about it in his various shows on that topic. So I wanted to sort of get an idea of, for people, the kind of things I don't know is like, how does it work, not at a technical level, but at a, what are the rules? What are the social contracts? We once had on BitShare a social contract that said if you clone BitShares, you should share drop on the holders of BitShares at least 20%. That was one of the early concepts, and I know that there's some kind of rules like that. That if people are going to do these kind of hybrid systems, what would be expected, okay, out of a hybrid system? Let's just keep it real simple. If you were going to take and make a hybrid chain out of BitShares and EOS, then what would be the expectations of who should own what in the new hybrid system?
Ooh, dang, that's a deep question. See, for a hybrid system, are you talking about using EOS technology and upgrading BitShares in some way, shape, or form, like putting it on as like a suit of armor to...
Well, one of the things that EOS talks about is you could either build a version of bitshares on top of the EOS operating system, and it would become an application on EOS. Okay, a DApp, decentralized app or something. You could.
It's one of them.
Keep the two chains separate and give bitshares the ability to follow the cross-chain communications protocols. Okay, you could.
I like that one, by the way. But go ahead.
Okay, you could take and say, I'm going to do a middle chain, and I'm not going to modify either of the other chains, but the middle chain is going to specialize in that cross-chain communication. Let's take that one as an example.
That's a good idea.
Building, and the easiest, dumbest way that I could think of to do it would be to say, this middle chain has witness nodes, and as I understand it, EOS calls its nodes supernodes or something instead of witness nodes. Or
they
whatever.
call them block producers, but I think Dash people and their PR folk got on it and turned it into supernodes. That's where I've seen it anyway. That's kind of my take on it. Might be wrong, but continue.
Okay, but they got each of them has block signers of some type.
Yep, just kind of like witnesses.
Right. Now, suppose that I wanted to have a chain where the witnesses, the block signers, could sign blocks on both chains.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny you're talking about that. Go ahead.
And while they're doing that, they can do the cross-chain communication kind of functions, and there's a little bit of centralization there, but we're already trusting them to sign blocks, so why can't we trust them?
Can I interrupt you?
Yeah, go ahead.
Because you bring it up right here, and this is the one that I'm in love with. Yeah, actually. I like all of them. I like the atomic cross-chain stuff and all that. But one of the things that I've been talking about quite a lot recently is actually something regarding this, which is one of the things in EOS that everybody's complaining about is, oh my gosh, and this is not going to sound it's not going to be new to you, because you and I have heard this thousands of times. The exchanges can vote with our stake. These centralized exchanges, right? Now, meanwhile, the proof of work crowd will say, oh my God, that's horrible. Meanwhile, they don't give you any voting or anything. So I don't even know what they're complaining about. But we try to give voting, right? But the centralized exchanges hold this. And everybody complains about it. So I'm thinking to myself, what would happen if BitShares could be the place where they can hold their tokens on a DEX that actually represents the native EOS token? Heck, maybe BitShares even stakes it, allows you to stake it on there, or somehow. But you would be able to vote using your holdings potentially directly through BitShares using this type of stuff, right? So what would that do? That would set the standard for other centralized exchanges to step up, right? Which it would also make the community who's concerned about it happy and feel like they're empowered and they have an option if they want to complain about it, that they can actually go use that, which then kind of acts as a check and balance, right? And it also, if there was a single DAC in the dang universe that I can think would be the perfect one for it, I would say BitShares historically, considering everything, should be probably in the best position to be able to do it, right? So I will say, to enable people to hold EOS and EOS-based tokens and vote using them, and actually have the capacity to do that without giving their power over to a centralized exchange, which really goes back to what Dan made BitShares for in the beginning, and how beautiful and elegant would that be? That's my opinion.
Okay, well, that's very interesting. But if we imagine that these smart people working in these different camps come up with something where maybe the middle chain would have a certain number of nodes elected by the BitShares side and a certain number of nodes elected by the EOS side. It's not clear to me, because I haven't followed EOS closely enough, who gets to vote. Is it based upon the snapshot taken just before the first one was launched? What happens when you get 10 EOS chains out there? Which ones would you honor with voting power, or does that stay with some original chain? Did you get any insight into that? Because as I understand it, there is no blessed chain that gets to say, I'm the one that represents the real EOS. Okay.
It seems like there's a community blessed chain, and that's largely because Dan's part of it. I mean, I can't disagree, obviously. But what I will say is, I think that there's one of the things that I've been thinking about a lot, and this is actually another problem that I've been thinking about in EOS, and it hasn't been a big enough problem in BitShares and Steem simply because Ethereum was too busy taking up all that money as a kind of a pump and dump machine to a large degree, right? So we never got to see that amount of money come into witness positions in BitShares and Steem, right? But regardless, there's a lot of people who are concerned about and I know you're going to kind of smile when I say this one. We're too centralized. So I won't even get into that because you've probably discussed it on here multiple times why that's not true. But then secondly is that a lot of block producers who are very capable people, very capable teams who are really passionate, even have a lot to offer and a lot of ideas that they'd like to bring, as long as they got just a little bit of acknowledgement, right? And to me, that kind of joined up, and I'm kind of talking to some people to double check or triple check at this point, actually, because my double check gave me a thumbs up. But I do want to make it clear that I've only double checked with one person who I consider an expert, but they said that it looks very good, and that is the following: imagine EOS as a DAC, right? Its own DAC. Now imagine all of these different block producers that are DACs of their own, right? Now you could essentially have it where each DAC has 21 witnesses, right? Block producers too, and they could share producing the blocks for the main chain, the EOS chain, as a chain that is connected, right? And they could the witnesses on there could share taking rounds and producing their own blocks too. But now you have 21 different DACs that are iterating, competing against one another, but also using one another's tools, right? And it also means 21 times 21, I've done the math on the calculator, is 441. So that means that's 441 nodes. Well, by gosh, if 21 nodes is not decentralized enough for you, is 441, because that's 100 times more decentralized than than Bitcoin, right? So that's how I potentially see it. But the cool thing to me is that which chain is the primary chain? It depends on which ones want to be block producers for one another. That's kind of how I'm seeing it. But we'll see if I'm wrong on a technical merit somewhere. But from what I've heard so far, it seems like it's a good way forward. And the cool thing is, if your DAC doesn't become a block producer, it's still a self-sustaining mutual aid society-based chain, right? So you can reward your people, you can build things, and if somebody who likes what your work is, they buy some of your tokens, and it lifts the price of the tokens, and people can cash out to pay for building more value, right? So I love the fact that everything that Dan does is open source because of this, because that's what makes it decentralized. And I don't know, like, people will see, I think, when everything gels together, but some of us have seen it for a while, and it's cool to see it coming together. But anyway.
I'm seeing a bromance going on here. I
love this crypto. I love, like, this. I'll tell you, when I came into cryptocurrency, I had started learning this stuff that's really going on in the world, and you get to a point where it's really dark. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So it's like, learning about cryptocurrency after learning how they control us with the money supply was just like, ooh, and it kind of made it ring in my ears, something I always told my parents. They were always like, you play too many video games, and I said, video gamers are going to rule the world someday. You just watch.
You are right. And if you're just now joining us, this is Blue Rock Talk with Connie Willis. I am Crypto Connie. Tonight it's Crypto Connie Tuesday, and we're talking with Stan Larimer, the godfather of bitshares, and we're also talking to Fuzzy here, who is loved by all. If you're just now joining us, please hit that subscribe button, please. We have obviously more of this with Crypto Connie Tuesday and live break-ins along the way. You never know what's going to happen, so hit that notification bell, because when Stan goes on a cruise, we're with him. When he goes out on his, we got to get him on his farm next. We got to do that. We've got him everywhere else whenever he's floating around somewhere on this big blue rock that we call Earth. And we do a whole lot of other things too. Bigfoot Friday, Stan's Bible lecture on Sunday. We also have Wasted Wednesdays coming up, a serious look at the cannabis industry, as well as all sorts of really cool things on Far Out Thursday. And who knows what else interesting may show up. So if you subscribe, you'll be a Blue Rocker. That is someone in the know, and you get to learn how to do this, and everybody gets to do that. Watch, Stan's really good at it. Stan can do it across he like does all sorts of fishy things and all sorts of stuff, and makes his grandkids laugh. If you are here right now and you're enjoying it, please hit the like button. We'd appreciate that to show your support. And if you want to help out the show to keep it going, throw some crypto in. Look down in the box below. You'll see how to do that, as well as check all the links that we have. That's how you can get a hold of Stan. It's how you can see other shows. It's also how you can find out more about Fuzzy as well. In fact, we like to take questions. Please put them in the live chat, as in all caps, and so I can see them. We do have a couple questions real quick here. Pat Konchak, Big Blue Rocker. How did you get the name Fuzzy? Fuzzy?
He knows how I got the name Fuzzy.
He wants the world to
I don't know. Is this a PG-13?
Go for it.
This is PG-13.
It's after hours.
Oh, jeez.
It's decentralized.
Okay, I'm going to say it. I'm going to say it because you know what? It's my story. I didn't choose it.
Stan, okay, do you know it? Do you know the story, Stan?
No, I'm all ears.
Okay.
Oh, you guys are gonna. Anybody who listens to Dan's Bible stuff, please do not be offended. There was a friend of mine when I grew up. My friend had an army family, and they were really rowdy and fun people, you know. And I really like. They would cook out, and you know, I loved them. But my friend David had an aunt who had a girlfriend, and they both, like, I had a crush on her girlfriend at the time when I was little. You know, I was young. And then for some reason they decided they were going to call me Fuzznuts. And that was, I think it was whenever they were drinking tequila. This was at a point in time when I did not drink tequila. But that name stuck with me, and I always used it online.
You proudly just threw it out there.
Well, the irony of it was that my dad saw it online one time when I was on the forums, because Stan probably remembers the days when it was Fuzznuts. Mm-hmm. And he said, Fuzznuts, he said, are you seriously going to let people see that whenever you're talking about things? And I looked him in the eyes, and I was going to debate him on it. And then I realized there's nothing to debate on this. You're right. And Fuzzy became the name, which I think is actually better now that I'm 30-some years old. Yeah, that's the story, and it is a funny one. We all have our own funny stories, I guess, but that's mine. That's thanks for asking, Patrick.
Oh man, you know, anytime there's a story that I don't know about, usually I usually have some sort of idea what the answer may be when I talk with someone, but it's happened on Coast before and here on Blue Rock, where when a guy says something like, "Are you sure?" Every time it's been about that. Every time. And I'm like, oh no, I fell for it again. So I thought, no, it's not going to happen again. And it did.
Well, yeah.
It did. I can't believe it. The worst one was
That's why I asked PG-13. I feel like it's PG-13.
Yeah.
I don't think it's R-rated. So I think we're golden.
Holy cow, you watch TV shows and they talk about that without a problem. So
Yeah, that's a good point.
Still
We're here
embarrassing
apologies
me.
for that.
What
One
do you
thing
think of that,
Rush
Stan?
Limbaugh likes to refer to himself as a harmless little fuzzball. So somewhere along the line, Fuzzy became a harmless little fuzzball as far as I'm concerned.
Well, I try to be harmless, but I think that a lot of people who don't quite realize yet the cross-chain possibilities and the importance of also sometimes having your own sovereign communities are worth that interact with them are going to be. And if you guys don't mind, I would like to just plug just a couple things. I heard you talking, Connie, about the cannabis. There's a group of people who made the Smoke Network, which is another mutual aid society kind of chain it's based off of an improved version of STEEM code base for their use case. And it's people who smoke marijuana and are advocates for cannabis. Quite literally, like they're the people who are censored everywhere else, and he has a community of a bunch of people, and he's building a chain to support them so they don't have to worry about being censored anywhere. And that's, whether you like marijuana and cannabis or not, if you're a freedom advocate, that to me, the people who are freedom advocates, these are the things that we should all be concerned about, is making sure that people realize they're not alone in whatever they want to do or they like to do, because they tend to have other people who like to do those things. And as long as you're not hurting somebody, right? But we also have another one that's really important that I would love to just plug here. Well, we've got a couple, but my favorite one that I really have to bring up, and it's less connected to me, but more connected to a cause that I believe in more than anything, which is Project Milkbox. And I have a small group of people who are working on making their own mutual aid chain to leverage it to reward people for posting and searching for missing loved ones. So essentially you can, if you have a missing loved one, you can essentially lock tokens up in the network as a bounty to find that person and reward people who help search for them and archive that data. That's the direction we're going with that. And I have people who help me with all these things, or else I could not get them done. But I give them the ideas of how we can leverage this stuff, and these entire teams of people tend to just start helping. Obviously, we don't have enough ever to, so if somebody's interested in these things. But one of the things that we thought was very important was this chain specifically.
That's interesting. Who's the guy that does it on TV that's looking for people all the time? His son was taken, really well known.
Oh, I'll tell you.
He would be great to be a spokesperson for that.
Well, there's a lot of them, and one of the big ones
brings money.
Yeah, one of the big ones that I learned about was human trafficking, and that's also because my wife is from the Philippines. So places that are third world especially become easy victim to human trafficking, because a lot of the time there are kids who don't have food, they're going out searching for it, families who can't take care of their children. Sometimes they even say, yes, take my child, you'll help them, because we can't afford it. We can't take care of our child. Sometimes that stuff happens. So I think that if we can create these ways of uplifting one another, we can kind of help third world countries, we can help second world countries, first world countries, because we all share a large number of similar problems. And when we have it where there's no geographical boundaries, those economies can kind of float up based on those ideas and helping one another. So we can have people, maybe someday you will find, like I found in Nigeria about the whale shares community, how they love our whale shares community. You never know where you're going to get. They're a third world country, and they say that, it's changed their lives, that they can earn whale shares for doing initiatives and stuff. And so these types of things, yeah.
I want to ask you about whale shares, but Stan, it sounds like you wanted to comment on what he was talking about.
No, actually, I'm excited right now. We got him on the show. Let's pick his brain.
Absolutely. Well, do you feel that Billion Hero Campaign is kind of as a way of doing what he's saying too, where you can create a cause like the milk box thing and
Well, I think he ought to list that cause on the Billion Hero
Absolutely.
campaign.
You see, that's called synergy.
Yep,
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
That's what I thought you
Yeah.
were like anxious to say that out. Well, I'll say
Let's
it for
do
you.
it.
Thank you, Connie.
You're
You're
welcome.
paying attention. All right.
You're
I
welcome.
was
Yeah,
just
let's do
spellbound
it.
by the message that he was saying.
Yeah, it was a hard one. That's like, a lot of people might take it wrong that I'm not promoting whale shares while I'm on here, but that's not by any means the whale shares has made this possible for me to afford to pay for all this stuff, using BitShares and Steem together, right? We created those cross-chain tokens, and that's made it possible for me to you remember when I used to talk to about DKP to Dan? He gave me the ability to make DKP, Stan.
Well, just for the sake of the people who are listening here, why don't you give them a thumbnail sketch of whale shares? Because it's very relevant to our topic of how the dynasty integrates and complements as we go along. That's one of the first examples of it working.
Okay, so of whale shares, you mean, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so whale shares, I'll go back to brownies real quick because it's really tied into all of that. Brownies back in the day, Dan made something called brownie.pts. And it was a coin that we passed out to people who attended the weekly hangout so they could keep up to date on what was going on. But it was causing problems because I was the only person who was passing it out, and people felt in the community like I was getting special treatment, and it started hurting the community, actually. So I told Dan we should probably consider, improving DKP. Basically, like I couldn't pass it out because I didn't feel right, because I felt like we were hurting the community and tearing it apart to a large degree. So what ended up happening was that Dan, I think after learning a lot of lessons with BitShares, he realized that there were ways of doing certain things to kind of essentially create a guild. And that's kind of what he did with the Steem-based code base, and it got flavored to be, a blog chain, a social network, right? But the things that you can do with it are so powerful. So what we did was we said, okay, we can use Steem and we can use BitShares, because Steem doesn't have tokens. BitShares does. We'll create tokens on BitShares that work and are backed by the value of Steem and upvotes on Steem and rewarding on Steem. And we'll distribute them to people who do initiatives like tokens for tweets we have. And I actually sent some links to Connie about those. So what we do is, like, for instance, we have right now one talk about your favorite block producer on EOS. We have another one that is a tokens for tweets. Let me see, what else do we have right now? We've got a BP block production tracking tool that we're trying to get done. We're going to give people tokens for that. What EOS airdrop are you most excited about? Community challenge. So we reward people with these tokens, and it creates value between two communities. So a lot of people think that, by merit of just existing, that chains can have to fight each other all the time, and they can't synergize. That doesn't mean that they can't disagree, but I'm not going to say that they can't disagree, but I will say that they definitely can synergize, and that's what we've done. We've essentially created DKP using what the tools that Dan and the people who helped him have given us. And right now, we're sitting here with cryptocurrencies that we use today on blockchain-based forums, which are eostalk.io today. We're going to be able to pass out BitShares-based tokens and other tokens on them and on other mutual aid chains today. You can have a mutual aid society chain, which is like a community bank, today. And a lot of people were busy fighting about whether, we need to increase the block size on Bitcoin. So just for some perspective, and not to try to bring it and back into the faces of the maximalists, but to say just, Bitcoin's amazing and it made all this possible. But give due to the things that are working, guys. Like, if we're going to take this mainstream, we're gonna need everybody in crypto, because these use cases are needed now, right? And we have them in cross-chain synergy, like you see it. We use all these, and we create the cross-chain synergy for it. So that's whale shares in a nutshell.
Well, I thought you're out of beta then. I thought it was still in beta.
Mm-hmm.
You are.
Yeah, it's going to be a sharing. It's going to be a sharing network. It's in beta. We're doing with it is we're going to open source the text so you can essentially make your own DKP on the network or on another network and become kind of an incubator. Because if everybody looks at Steam, what people don't realize, and I will personally say I don't think that it was the best run incubator. But despite that, and despite some of the issues that came along with the mining to distribute in the early days, it has done very well at producing a lot of cool things that were built on top of it, just from people who thought it was cool and wanted to try. So I think that using these types of chains moving forward, man, let's give one to the SENS Longevity Foundation and Aubrey de Grey. Let's give one to, scientists who feel like the boot is on their face and they can't pay for what they believe in. But they know they've got a community that if they could use that community as a bank, a guild bank, to build something they know is valuable, that's where we're going, right? That's what, you see me smiling, man, because it's like, how do you not get pumped up about this especially when there's such evil out there? These are the tools they don't want us to have, right? This is the stuff that makes people like Hillary Clinton cringe. Should I say that out loud? Sorry.
You did.
I'm not necessarily a Trump fan, but I am definitely not an evil human fan in general.
If you're just now joining us, this is Blue Rock Talk with Connie Willis, and this is Crypto Connie Tuesdays. Dan Larimer here along with Fuzzy, and we're talking about how STEEM it and bitshares and EOS work together, as well as some other ideas out there too. Some of the questions that we have out there, you guys. By the way, if you are here right now and you're liking what you're seeing, please hit that like button, okay? AJZ, I think it's AJZ Net. I wrote these things down because they're really talking heavily in there. Will EOS on BitShares Exchange get airdrops? Either one of you can answer that.
I think either of us could. I believe that if we do what me and Stan have been talking about, then yes, very easily. I know that we can do it. That the centralized exchanges that use BitShares can do it, but it wouldn't be native to BitShares. But we could make it native to BitShares, couldn't we, Stan?
Yes, and that my ultimate vision is that we put the connectivity in using the technology EOS has developed to project BitShares products and services across all EOS chains, so that you can basically, it's not a threat. It's allowing us to reach an audience 100 times bigger.
Mm-hmm.
I like to see technology do that. And one of the things that purists want to think of is, well, everything has to be done hands off. There can't be any points of centralization, but we already have points of centralization when you want to convert to fiat, or where you need money transmission licenses in certain cases, So what's going to happen is, and it's starting to happen right now with examples like whale shares, is that there will be a hybrid between centralized and uncentralized, and that could be a single wallet that has inside its software the ability to talk to two different blockchains. And so, you do have a period of time where it appears like they're all integrated in one product, and most people will interface to the entire family of blockchains that are out there through some app that does the bridging functions using whatever tools exist. And that may not be the purest solution, but where purity is needed, people will build in more complicated ways. But long before a lot of that happens, there will be a web, if you will, of alternative paths. There are already examples of systems that will pick more than one way to accomplish the project and find the lowest cost way to get it done through conversions from one coin to another or whatever. So more and more people will not even think about the fabric of blockchains out there. There'll be a series of tools that engineers use, but what people deal with will be a particular website or a particular application they download for their phone. And it may be touching multiple chains out there to deliver the killer apps of the future.
And multiple chains might be offering different services, just kind of like you do see on a lot of different websites these days. Yeah.
Yeah.
I will definitely agree. I'll definitely agree. And I think that the cool thing is most people are thinking about, I can't state it enough, most people were talking about transactions. Can our transactions scale? And we're here talking about this as though it's actually in the near future, because it's coming to the point where I can see it. It's an island that we're heading toward. Like maybe there was a time when I could say it's still so far I can't see the island yet, but we're there. We're getting there. Like I see it a few miles out, maybe 15, 20 miles out. We got a few hours. Of course, that's, a little bit longer probably than a few hours, but you get my point.
You looking at fall? You looking at winter?
2019? Well, I think, you know what? If I were going to be a betting man, it depends really first off on the market. If Bitcoin goes down substantially, you're probably going to see a lot of people like questioning whether they're going to, do something bad to themselves instead of building things. That's what a lot of people seem to do. They just look at the price and they get scared just because of the price and decide I'm not going to. So you're going to have ups and downs, I guess is my point. If the market goes well, I think that we could possibly see stuff like this within a year or two. We're already seeing some of it with a project called Scorum. We're already seeing Pure Plays has side chaining to Bitcoin. We're coming along. It's getting there. Fox is already, like Stan said, Fox is talking about cross-chain stuff recently in our Hangouts. And he continues to provide updates because when they talk in the Hangouts, he comes in and he says, what do you guys think that we need to focus on? Here's, he even showed us, a table. These are the most important. These are the things on, as far as how hard it is. Here's the low-hanging fruit. Here's the high-hanging fruit. You guys tell us, what you want, which ones you think are most important. And one of them was cross-chain functionality. It was one of the main ones. So I think that's where we're getting what Stan is talking about from a lot more. And I'm going to go so far as to say maybe, just maybe, it might be done on bitshares before EOS. We'll see. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But Fox and his team are not dummies. They've been around the block for a while, and they've got a lot of people who've been here from the very beginning too. So we'll see what happens. I think it's not going to be that far off, though. A year or two max.
I like the dynasty thought for sure. Let me just throw some questions at you from the live chat to both of you guys. Ms. Cavs fan says, would it be possible for BitShares to be the go-to exchange for all EOS airdrops? And feels that this would also draw a lot of traffic to BitShares and newbies.
What do you think, Stan? Well, it's certainly possible, but it's one of those things that's really not in anybody's control. You make the most attractive environment for doing that sort of thing, and maybe you'll attract it to become that. But there's a lot of competition to perform those kind of functions, and so we'll see. It's not a slam dunk, but certainly feasible. What we want to do is reduce the friction between different blockchains that are out there, and then can compete in other ways. We can compete by having things that attract more liquidity, so that people prefer to be there because that's where they can get the best prices and make the easiest trades. You can compete based upon the attractiveness of your community, and that's something I think we have to work on. Not enough attention has been paid, I think, in our various forums to keeping it attractive for people to come and visit. Instead, in a lot of cases, it turns into a food fight all the time. And we really need to get over that if we want to be successful. We don't want to have dirty laundry being aired all the time as people are fighting over philosophical differences. We can have civil discussions, but not everybody is capable of engaging in a civil discussion. So, but that's very critical. The communities that do create the nice environment where people feel that they can express an opinion without, it being ridiculed or banned, and where people don't put stuff out there that inflames or causes hard feelings or whatever. If we can get over that, then we can have one of the places people want to congregate, and that could be as big a factor as the technology. So hopefully we can get the community to start encouraging that kind of behavior and discouraging the other kind. Unfortunately, the most popular forums are the ones that have the most conflict, right? Because people tend to see the conflict. So I'm not saying
to see the car wreck.
Easy thing to achieve, but the ones that do achieve it will have a leg up, I think.
Well, and to me, right now, I think you're kind of talking about the community within itself, where you have a whole outside group of people that just want you guys to put this together, make it user-friendly for us, connect it all, so we can play the game. We anxiously want to play it while you guys are doing battling in between. We don't even know that. We don't even see that. We don't even care about that. Just make this thing for us, make it easy, and hurry up, because we got money to throw in it, because we already believe in your promises. We already believe in the hope that you put out there for us. So put it together. Smack each other around. Do whatever you got to do, but put this out there for us. Right? So we don't even, taking it back to the reason that we have it on here on Blue Rock Talk is for us people here that don't really know or really care about all that inside stuff where it gets so inside. We just want it to work. You say we can bet on the blockchain. You say we can do the milk box on the blockchain, the $1 billion hero. Come on, bring it on. Let's go. That's what we want. That's what we want. So, a lot of times it seems like just in life in general, everybody gets stuck in this little bit when we don't really care about that. Bring it on. Let's play the game. Let's live life.
To talk to what Stan was saying earlier about EOS, EOS has an issue in it, and you'll hear Baby Shark in the background
on the camera singing.
while I tell you guys. Everybody out there with a child knows Baby Shark. But what I will say is that
let's see Baby Shark.
Okay, so sorry about that.
No, it's cool. Good for you.
Back to what was I saying now?
Baby Shark. You were talking about Baby Shark.
Yeah. What point were we on, Stan? My apologies.
Talking about the community, and you were saying Stan's point to the community within itself. Back
to EOS real quick. Like you said that you don't know a whole lot of some of the things that are going on over in EOS, and one of the things is the whole discussion about freezing of accounts and all of that good stuff, right? So we have there's things that need to be fixed over there, like in terms of governance and things like that, and they just launched. There's issues there. There's solutions that are already starting to pop up, right? We have things like EOS Talk where people are able to discuss it on the blockchain. That's a side chain. I mean, that's another chain, right? That's another thing that brings that value proposition. So we do have some of these tools, I guess is my point that I'm getting toward, is they don't have all of them on EOS yet. We haven't had all of them on bitshares because it's taken so long to get that funding. Steam was really like what kind of showed people a use case that most people, not just really hardcore nerds, would expect. And once that happened, we started seeing a lot more value coming into it, and a lot more people who understand, who understood, wow, this is a valuable use case, and it does exist. You can use it today, right? But now we're at that stage where, because Dan and everything that he does is open source, we can start having all kinds of people start playing with these tools. So I think that, I guess my point is, what you're seeing from just the little couple things projects I brought up tonight, I think you're going to see so many other ones, kind of like what Stan was saying. But the cool thing is, a lot of them are going to come up with solutions that even EOS hasn't come up with. That EOS can go, wow, I like that. I'm going to grab that, put it on my code, because I like that. Or they might go, oh my God, it's horrible. I'm not going to touch it. Good job. You don't have to touch it, right? Nothing out of your pocket. But if you like it, we've got that. Now imagine 21 of those, or 441, or 1,000 different DACs all doing this at the same time. I guess my point is, going back to what we were saying in the very beginning in these early Hangouts, was it's going to continue going faster and faster, I think, to the point where we can't keep up. I don't think any individual person is going to be able to keep up. So yes, it's coming, and it seems painfully slow until it doesn't.
And that brings up a whole other category of what must be puzzling the regulators out there who want to maintain absolute control of how people interact with each other. And I'm afraid it's a losing battle for them, because, as you can see, it's not just one-dimensional growing to 1,000 blockchains that government officials are going to say, well, these are blessed blockchains and these are not, because different parts of the world, those blockchains will still exist and thrive, and there will be all sorts of things. I mean, people get around the Great Firewall of China like it's made of nothing. You've just got to know the technology to do it. Okay, and so any attempt to stomp this out is just going to cause the spider web of connectivity to route around you, to the point where, at least it's the hope of all the freedom-loving people of the world, that governments will eventually give up the idea that they have to control every interaction between every person on the planet. And what you've seen here tonight, I think, is an example of how the interconnections, there won't be one blockchain. There will be arteries, side roads, and interconnections, and pathways to get something done that'll just grow richer and richer and richer with time. And the ability to come along and saying, well, we're going to turn that one off, that's all. Every time they use their power to turn something off, 1,000 ideas pop up of how can I prevent that from happening next time. Okay, and so there may be a lot of regulators in this world, but there are far more innovators out there that will be looking at every single abuse of power that is used and figuring out, well, how can I get my freedom back given this new rule that's come out? And so, we don't really have to individually do anything, because the development is decentralized, and people will be building individual applications that are not even blockchains, but they connect certain blockchains in certain ways. It's such that people can get the interactions done that they want to do. And so there is, to me, the great hope. It started out with someone saying, I need to make one blockchain that will protect me from abuses of centralization. And now we've got thousands, and that's still not enough. And now we got interconnectivity, tens of thousands of interconnections between these different blockchains, to the point where it becomes the fabric of the new internet. And my great hope is that will lead us to a point where it is not possible without shutting down the internet. And even then, I know of technologies that completely bypass the internet. So the more and more central governments try to stamp out freedom, the more and more freedom will be innovated, and it'll happen at an exponential rate that'll just overwhelm the rate at which people can sit and pontificate in Senate meetings discussing what they should do to us.
I'm going to see that one day quoted on a building somewhere, that last line. That was wonderful. It's going to be somewhere. Signed Stan Larimer on there. If you're just now joining this, it's Blue Rock Talk with Connie Willis. This is Crypto Connie Tuesday. Stan Larimer there, along with Fuzzy and myself here. Please give us a like if you like what's going on. Thanks for all the questions in there. I just want to get to some of the questions for you guys. First of all, when you were talking about Project Milkbox, is that correct? Mm-hmm. The name I was thinking of was John Walsh of America's Most Wanted. Mm. It'd be cool for him to know about this. I bet he could really back it up and probably help you out there, I would think.
Well, if anybody knows about people who care about that topic, it started out, I was really wanting to hunt down the people who take children. I'm not going to lie. But then somebody told me, one of my friends said, fight them with love. And I was like, how do you fight that with love? But then I realized after taking a moment to really sit on it that it comes down to really protecting the people who go missing.
Yep.
You can love them. You can fight with the love for them. You don't have to attack. So that was a lesson for me, and I love Project Milkbox for that reason.
I think it's cool. I think it needs to jump on to Billion Hero campaign. Milos,
yeah, sure.
Yeah, that'll be awesome. Milos says, Fuzzy, when are you going to finally... when you're going to finally get paid for your work and become block producer? And did sign Digital Lucifer. Is that the same? Are they the same people?
Yeah, there's another guy we should have mentioned that has been doing a lot of great development work. And I did mention him indirectly by talking about some of the work that's going on with CloudCoin and Quintric that he's involved in, and forming another foundation to advocate for what's going on. So, yeah, he's a influential guy with lots of connections between different tribes in this community.
Is that Milos or Digital Lucifer? Or they
same?
Oh, same.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Okay. So, who is Jacob Bacchus?
Jacob Bacchus is one of the guys who actually is working on EasyDex. It's himself and someone named Patalenko, who is his wife, who is also working on a lot of the business side of it, making the connections. You know how that works. You got a team, right? You got a nerd and you got somebody who organizes the other stuff with them. So that's how they work together on something called EasyDex, which actually is the first bitshares exchange that offered account recovery. Where
nice.
So yeah, which was a very important thing.
Absolutely.
Kind of like what you're getting back to what you were saying. Yeah, you're thinking like, my God, I won't lose my account. That's amazing. I'll use bitshares, right? That's exactly what we've been talking about for 3 or 4 years, but we never had the money. Really, it came down to that. We never had the money because everyone was throwing money at things on Ethereum that would never exist. I hate to say it that way, but whenever you see crypto kitties, what do you say? So, but they've done some amazing stuff themselves, and actually they're working on whale shares too with us.
Excellent. Well, how does ShareBit come into play with all of this?
Oh, ShareBits is, and by the way, I've got a group of amazing people, Stan, who have helped me with this finally, and it's taken a while. This has been the one that Stan knows I've been beating my head against the ground for a long time, trying to get the right people. But we have a service that is dang close to being at least an MVP status, where you'll be able to essentially pass out tokens on the internet pretty much anywhere where you can connect it. So, yeah.
Well, Jacob is like going, hey, man, you're supposed to mention me in whale shares, basically.
Oh, I just did.
Yeah.
You didn't hear it.
Yeah, so he's like, waiting for you to mention whale shares in association with me. You better say me or I'm going to be mad, basically, is what he's saying. So.
Yeah, he was one of the founding community members who actually helped with building the community. He runs the Discord, actually, too. So, and I think they're building it into whale shares. I won't tell any of that stuff. Never mind.
No, it's fine.
I don't think I'm supposed to say too much yet.
Oh, okay.
I might be allowed to, but I'm not going to risk it right now.
When is the launch for that? When is the actual launch? We'll do something on
What I tell people is we are focusing on fixing some things with Steam that we felt needed improved and hadn't been. So those things are going to be getting done first. Then, at the same time, we're working a little bit on the front end user experience and things like that, but it's going to be a little bit. I always tell people I don't like to give timelines, but we're moving forward, and I would prefer to say we'll give you guys about a month notice before we launch.
Okay, because if you go to it now, anybody, you're going to see all this money that people have made, and it's not real. I went to it. You told me about it. Yeah, it's testing, and I just saw these gigantic numbers. I went, holy cow. And if you read the rest of it, it says, no, this is just all, this is all going to change. It's all going to start from zero when it launches, which I think is fantastic.
But it could become worth that much.
I think you're right.
Who knows?
Hey,
it depends on the market
turns
conditions.
you on, It's a good marketing ploy for sure.
Yeah, I think that's actually... It's caused a little bit more problems than helpful for marketing. Yeah, people are like, I'm going to make 5,000, and we're like, guys, it's a test net. Yeah. We're getting it smoothed out for the user experience.
I look at it like, the possibilities of it. So for people just joining us, let them know what WellShares is. What's the difference between WellShares and STEEM it?
I'll just simply say that I love the idea of mutual aid society chains. I learned about it, the idea initially from Dan, and it was with respect to slightly different things. But because of that, I believe that STEAM was something that we used it for an MVP of what we were trying to do, which is a friends network, where you leverage like a guild. You can kind of create your own guild, and you can reward them your own DKP, your own tokens, right? But that wasn't STEAM. That was my idea for how to use a mutual aid chain, right? That's what I thought, but it wasn't in Ned's vision. It wasn't in the people of STEAM who held the largest stake. They had a different idea, right? So what we did was we said, okay, there's no reason to compete with them, right? We'll create something called MASDAX, and we'll Mutual Aid Society DAX. Masdax.io, you can go there and you can post to all of the Mutual Aid Society chains. And based on what you want, maybe you like Facebook where you're seeing other people's feed and stuff like that in their shares. Like whenever I'm sharing, I'm rewarding on WellShares. I'm sharing to my feed and I'm rewarding you at the same time. It's not based on content like Steam is. It's more like a guild where you have your own tokens and you can pass them out. So that's the route that we're going with the WellShares tokens, and we'll open source it, of course, so it'll be usable on other MASDAQs. But I felt like it was a good idea to give it to the BitShares community in a share drop. We're not doing an ICO. We're not doing any of that stuff. I'm not asking for money. I just have been lucky enough and blessed with what I've had, so I can do these things. So we are building it. I have a team of people building it. It's going to be share dropped on BitShares, on Brownie PTS to give to the people who earned them in the early days, and WellShare token holders who have participated in initiatives and done things that have earned WellShares. So the people who understood the guild mentality and kind of the idea, we are basically share dropping a chain on them. And since they have acted as essentially cross-chain customer support for BitShares for so long, I thought, what better way to reward them than for us to give them a DAC that will work with BitShares directly and create that synergy with the intent specifically to create that synergy, right? So that's WellShares. If I boil it down into the one sentence, like you'd like me to do, would be sharing, earning for sharing, would be what I'd say.
Ooh, that's nice. Stan, what do you think of WellShares?
This is, I think Fuzzy's signature project. That he's had a vision on it for a long time. Very powerful. And to be honest with you, I probably need to go register for the Fuzzy course in advanced WellShares applications.
Well, that's something that I won't bring up, but I think that there are advanced ones that will make it actually easier to use. Coming out.
Easier is what?
As a hint.
we're all looking for. Oh, man. Oh, man. Y'all are terrible when it comes to that stuff to people like us. Okay, well, we'll just have to talk again, right? I know there's a few more questions. Let me just ask some quick ones so that just time-wise, I want to respect that Stan, it's midnight, and he's got a life and a wife that's going, honey, and good for her,
I will not say that I'm in the same boat at all, Stan.
Yeah, you got a kid going, Dad, or singing some shark song. So let me just ask some real quick ones for some quick answers here, and that is, are you a fan of inflation, which EOS has? Why doesn't EOS have cap supply like BitShares?
Is that for either of us?
Either one of you. Stan?
Well, the only thing I will say about it is that what I think doesn't matter. I don't like inflation, but Dan is far smarter as a crypto economist than I am, and he's probably figured out a reason why it makes sense there. That doesn't say anything other than I trust that whatever he does is probably well thought out.
Kim has wrote, we at BitShares try to work at non-linear time management. Just great people, by the way. A lot of people that are in there tonight, please hit that like button and please subscribe if you haven't already, because we'll bring everybody back for sure, I'm hoping. There's more questions, but I really want to, just respect your all's time. I appreciate that you've given us 2 hours of time. Fuzzy, it's nice to finally see your face, the man behind this, and we all love Fuzzy Guy.
Well, I appreciate you guys having me on, and I'm sorry that I don't come out too often because I'm sure if you talk to Stan, he'll say the same thing. I have a lot of things that I want to get done, and once I get them done, I will watch certain things like maybe Silicon Valley. I might binge watch too.
Let me know what you think. Let me know what you think along the way. It's so funny. Oh my gosh, it's so funny. I think Stan would like it too. I really hope that he will binge watch it at one point. Just maybe we can all sit around on the cruise in the room that he got recently, which was a 2-story. Actually, was it 3-story, Stan, on the cruise? Your cabin, or 2?
Well, it was big enough that it looked that way, but I think it was just 2 decks that it spanned.
So we're all there together, cheering on some maybe 5 years, and watch Silicon Valley will be on the screens as you hang out and party with everybody. But it's so good. Well, one last question that I'd like to ask both of you. Short sentences. We'll go with, we'll let Stan think on this one. So we'll go to Fuzzy first. So Stan, that'll give you a little bit more time to think on it.
Because the physicist needs more time.
No, you know what he does? He's really good with his little, thoughts. So I want to give him time to think a little more on it. So all this stuff that you're doing, and the connection like we were talking about with EOS, BitShares, STEEM, it all together, how they work, and just everything we talked about tonight, this entire crypto world and blockchain, and, what is, Fuzzy, what's your goal in one sentence for all of this? What do you want the outcome to be? What do you see in the future that you hope it to be at the end of all of this?
Interaction between one another without an intermediary that taxes and manipulates it.
Nice. Ooh. All right, Stan.
Honest money, a level playing field, zero economic friction, and freedom for everyone.
Ooh, that's a great one. Take that.
And when you... It was very nice, and when you said it, I don't know with Skype, but you froze right at that moment. kind of like this.
He sure did.
It wasn't the worst shot of you, but it was like,
actually, it's like the perfect, like, Pinky in the Brain. Think bigger, Pinky.
It was. So, thank both of you guys. Appreciate it very much. We'll be back with another Crypto Connie Tuesday, of course, and hopefully will you join us again, Fuzzy? Will you be back again, make some appearances along the way?
Oh, well, that was actually what I was going to say is I've been extremely busy, but trying to get people to help me build things that I think we needed built. And now that I'm getting more and more people to help with that, I think I'm going to need to spend more time as these things get done and dropped onto communities that love them. Hopefully, I'm moving toward going out and spending more of my time places like this talking about what the communities have done. So I look forward to discussing this with yourself and anybody who really wants to talk about it and really cares to move forward on this front. And whether you're just starting or you've been around for a while, I think we all need to be stubborn about this one. It really is. It's not joking. It's our future, right?
All right.
So, and my baby shark son's future.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Well, I hope you'll teach him this as well, but can you do the Blue Rocker
Of course.
sign? So you are now officially a Blue Rocker. Appreciate that. Thank you so much. And of course, Stan, always thank you. You're awesome to be with, and I love it's even more fun not just to talk with you and to get questions answered from you, but to also have a conversation with someone else in the industry and seeing you just get excited with your conversation as well as listening to. It's just fun to watch. It's fun to watch.
Someday I'll drink some sweet tea with you, Stan. I'm not supposed to drink sweet tea these days because I've been on a computer too long and I need to start doing more exercising these days. But eventually I'll have a sweet tea with you, man.
I'm looking forward to that.
All right. Me, I want to join you too. That's, Kentucky
course,
in here. Got to have sweet tea. What, sweet tea?
Well,
Holy cow.
Well, you will be there, Connie. Don't worry
Okay,
about
thanks.
that.
Stan,
We're going to have a big picture of it.
and some potato salad next to it, some ribs out on the grill. All right, we're talking now. And Stan can pull the kids on the John Deere as he goes around the farm for sure. Anything you want to say, Stan, before you take off?
Nope, I'm just so delighted to have Fuzzy come here for this, and I think I got my money's worth. Thank you.
I think so too. Well, hang on, you guys. This is Blue Rock Talk with Connie Willis. That you guys you have been watching Blue Rock Talk with Connie Willis. Earth's most interesting conversations. We're talking people, places, and things. Tonight, Crypto Connie Tuesday. And hey, if you like the show, please hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. If you'd like to give to the show, do it in crypto. All the information is down below. Stan's links, my links, and also Fuzzy's links. And I hope to see more of you guys in the future too. Wow, what a great show. And please show your support with that like button. All right, see you guys soon. Once again here, Blue Rock Talk with Connie Willis and Crypto Connie Tuesday. More to come. Be back on Coast to Coast July 6th and also July 14th. And hope that you'll be there with me too. Good night, everybody.